Hello, hello, hola, hola. ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo están, amigos? How are you today in this beautifully, well, not so sunny yet day here in Lima, Peru? It is always a pleasure to have you, to be with you. This is a pretty much surprise live stream from Lima and from your tour guide, Vanessa. Well, I'm using today two platforms, one on YouTube and one on Facebook. Hopefully, well, I will have the chance of seeing most people also and meeting most people interested in Peruvian history using both platforms at the same time. So I expect, of course, like doing quite a short, let's say, live stream because it was not planned, because it was not really something organized previously. And in today's occasion, I would like to give you an introduction to one of the most beautiful, most touristic destinations in Peru, Cusco. So, by the way, I'm looking to one camera. I have two also here and two cell phones, one, sorry, laptop and one cell phone. So, well, but I'm seeing also questions and comments if anyone wants to share thoughts and something about this little live stream. So, once again, my name is Vanessa Vasquez. I am a Peruvian tour guide, born, raised in Lima City, guiding for many years in Lima. Also, well, had the pleasure of traveling to different destinations in Peru as a trip leader or tour accompaniant, as translator as well. So I've seen in person this beautiful destination in several occasions. And I would love to call it a second home. Sadly, I was not able to spend like, let's say, a long period of time, a sabbatic there, but I'll be back there soon, and hopefully I'll be doing some events also from there. So before I also like give you officially the name of this beautiful site, I would like to first like start sharing our you my webinar like every certain amount of time. Just give me a second. I'm going to flip also the camera um, so you can also see what I'm trying to project. So, well, welcome to Cusco. Oh, so Cusco is such a beautiful, beautiful city. Well, it's one of the 24 departments of Peru, but as well, Cusco is a beautiful city or province. So today I would like to tell you a bit more about this location in the country, and well, as well, like learn also what are your questions about Cusco. This is really a part one of what I'm really like planning to give you. There's going to be like more series about Cusco, and probably I would need like months to let's say cover everything about Cusco. So in today's case, we will be doing just a little introduction to this beautiful site. And Cusco is the mecca of tourism in Peru, because, well, it has incredible pre-Hispanic, Incan in particular, architecture in its city, and also is home to Machu Picchu. So, well, what we are seeing here is a view from basically a location very, very close to Sacsayhuaman. Some people call it Sexy Woman. It's an incredible archaeological site located much higher than the level of the city. The name of this slope, let's say, where we see also on top this beautiful Christ, like the Christ Redeemer of Brazil, is Puca Mojo, which means Puca is red and Mojo is like a hill or a promontory. And well, this Christ, a curious story, was a gift from the Arab Palestinian community that settled in Cusco in the year 1945. In one source, I read that this was a Christian group, also a Catholic Christian group. So that's why they offer this say monument to the faith, also in well, to this location in the beautiful Cusco city. So the view from here, it really gives you a full also impression of the terrain, the elevations. Cusco city is surrounded by mountains, by hills, and here, well, a little bit more of information related with location, no? So, where we are in this moment. So, Peru is a big, big country, 1.2 million square kilometers. Is a really, really big land, and we have, well, so much diversity, no? So, I am from Lima, and I am really in love for of all of the spaces and corners in my country. So, well, I wish to start with a little intro to Cusco. But Lima is my home. I am from the sea level. Cusco is much, much higher than Lima. Cusco is this location where you have the mountains, some of them with glaciers on top, but also at points it goes down to the jungle, no? So one would think of Cusco as a home just of mountains and elevations, and let's say like very, very cold like times in the night, and sun in the daytime, but it also is home of a jungle zone. So, well, 24 departments in Peru. And we also have also multiple realities. So on the map on the left, you can see the Department of Cusco. Cusco is a very, very populated part of the country. Not as much as Lima. Lima, sadly, is the most populated part of the country. We have way too many people in Lima, a zone that naturally doesn't really have the capacity of holding this many, many people. So from the 11 million people we have in Lima, then we go next to, let's say, the second most populated cities, let's say, in the country would be, for example, like Cusco, one of them with 1.2 million, more or less, inhabitants in the whole department. The city of Cusco has over 100,000 inhabitants. So Cusco still feels like more, what can I say, like more peaceful in comparison and quiet in comparison to the bigger city of Lima. So, and then, well, you can see on the image on the right hand side, well, this more physical view. Sorry, I'll be moving a little bit over here so you can see better the physical map of Peru. Okay, so, and here we can see a bit more about the Department of Cusco. Some call it also Cusco region or Cusco department. So it has 13 provinces. You can see I have highlighted the province of Cusco right in the center. The shape of Cusco is so, so curious. To me, it looks like I don't know, like a little creature, like a little doggy, sort of. It has a really peculiar shape, and I'm not the only one that noticed also the peculiarity of the shape of the Department of Cusco. So let's say in the center, we have the zone where the city of Cusco is located. So if we wanted to, let's say, see and talk about all of the highlights of the Department of Cusco, well, it wouldn't be possible really, like in one day of webinar. Like there's so much. No? So I wanted to just start with a little bit of history and also climate in this case, to give you an idea also, like when is best to come to Cusco, and also to Peru, because if you come to Peru, you're going to Machu Picchu. If you come to Peru, most likely you want to see the world wonder, no, of Machu Picchu, and you want to see the city of Cusco. And there are times in the year when it is not really the best to come because of the climate, also in the sense that it's not that it's impossible, but it's more difficult, like when you are doing hikes and treks. If you are a person who are looking for trekking, like to find pathways that are like dry enough, or with the conditions, let's say, for doing trekkings, or sometimes, let's say, it's not possible because it's not safe for you. So if you want to play safe, like traveling to Peru, you probably should do it when it's not raining in the Andes. And like rains are something not necessarily like that predictable. No? Like it's part of nature, no? So, and now with climate changing around the world, it's more difficult to know exactly when it's going to rain. Some years, the rains delay a little bit. Some years starts way earlier, but from let's say late November until March, it is time for rains in the Andes in general. And then we have the sunny or dry season, the dry season better, is the time when we don't have rain. So therefore, we have really like chance of seeing all of the sites, and doing all of the activities that Cusco can offer without any complications. I put also some arrows going up on the month of June, July, and August. And but that's because those months are the busiest months in Cusco. Okay, and therefore also in Peru, because like cities like, for example, Arequipa, Lima, Puno benefit from the high influx of people coming to Cusco to do trekkings, or to participate, especially on important events. Like those are the months where some of the most important ceremonies and processions, for example, the Inti Raymi or Corpus Christi. So very important festivals happen. Also, everybody wants to go to see also those, especially Inti Raymi. Well, later in the future, I would like to tell you a bit more about the Inti Raymi, if you are interested in learning about this too. Okay, so I gave you also here a bit of the variations in terms of like temperature. So you can see also in Fahrenheit and Celsius, which gives you, probably if you are coming from North America or watching this from North America, will make things easier for you. So the variations, for example, in the rainy season, let's say, just take like 1 month, February, which is usually the month when rains the most, will be, for example, the say the highest temperatures will be around 14 degrees Celsius, like 58 Fahrenheit. And the coldest, let's say at nighttime, for example, around 8 Celsius or 47 Fahrenheit. Okay, but lots of rain, no? Like for example, in average 17 days of rain. So it's really like big chance of half of the month like being covered in pouring rain. And well, in country, well, let's say August, for example, which is considered also a hot month in the sense of, let's say, like the temperature in the daytime, when you are under the sun, is quite high. The sensation is quite high. Notice also that we have, oh, let's say, drier temperature there. No? So drier temperature gives you a sensation of higher temperature. Also, well, the feeling is like 59 Fahrenheit, but you can really feel much higher temperature, especially if you're not using a hot, no? And a little bit colder, chillier at nighttime. Okay, so well, just to give you an idea, it rains almost nothing in that time of the year. Okay, and then, well, a little bit of the elevations too, and let's talk about the altitude sickness. In this is something you have to deal with in the whole country. In Peru, if you plan to go to the Andes, doesn't matter where in the country, because the Andes. We are in the central Andes of South America. These reach really high peaks. For example, our highest peak, which is not in Cusco, by the way, is in the department of Ancash, is the Huascarán. I put it the name over here so you can see in the upper part, on top of that mountain, the name of the mountain Huascarán, which is the highest mountain in the country. And this mountain, well, which gives you also an idea of the elevations that the Andes here can reach. It's also one of the several mountains we have that are over 6,000 meters above sea level, reach 6,000 meters above sea level. Okay, so where is Cusco according to this, let's say, this map of altitudes? This is a map of altitudes in Peru, created in the 1940s by Javier Pulgar Vidal, an expert in geography, also Peruvian expert in geography. So we didn't have a map like this one until him. We used like a different, more simple way to classify the, say, the geography of Peru: coast, Andes, and jungle or rainforest. I think more proper is to say rainforest because it really rains all the time in that part of the, let's say, of the country. No, so well, Javier Pulgar Vidal decided to create a more like a specific, let's say, map of elevations, in which you can see, according to him, in these like regions named each one differently, well, how the Andes have a very strong influence in the geography of Peru. They are the ones who separate the ocean from the rainforest, and well, because of their elevations that really go so high, in each level of to the top, you can see also like different climates. You can also grow different crops. There are different animals also that can live in each one of these sections, no, zones. So well, Cusco is in the location that we know as Suni, no? Because according to Javier Pulgar Vidal, sorry, Quechua, because according to Javier Pulgar Vidal, the Quechua region is in between 2,300 meters above sea level until 300, 500 meters above sea level. So the city of Cusco is at the level of 3,399 meters above sea level. Okay, so it is very, very high. It is quite elevated. So you need to keep this in mind when you are traveling directly from, let's say, your home, if you live at the sea level, or you're coming to Lima first. And Lima is at the sea level, and immediately after you go to Cusco City, well, take this in consideration. It's not that it's impossible, but you need to understand that there is going to be like effects of that deprivation of, let's say, oxygen, because there's less oxygen in such elevation. No? So there are different ways and different forms you can do to adapt to that elevation, like drinking more water, maybe drinking coca tea. Maybe you can do it by taking some like Diamox pills, for example, or something given by your doctor. But before coming to Peru, it is very good idea to get informed of what you can do if you have a special like condition, right? So well, Machu Picchu is much lower than Cusco City. Okay, so we're talking about the city of Cusco, 3,399 meters above sea level in average. Remember that there are lots of mountains around and valleys and mountains in that section. But Machu Picchu is much lower. No, Machu Picchu is in this zone we call Ceja de Selva. Ceja is eyebrow, by the way, in English, the eyebrow of the jungle. I don't know if it makes sense in other languages, but for us, that means that the window is the gate into the jungle. So it's much down lower, and the elevation is 2,430 meters above sea level in average, the citadel of Machu Picchu. I also put in feet the conversions right next to the elevations in meter. So one of the tricks most people who have the chance of, organizing their tours to Cusco have to adapt, to acclimate, or at least to create less impact during their stay in Cusco, no, is not going directly to stay overnight in the city of Cusco instead, because you cannot really like make it so easily to Machu Picchu, which is much lower. It's wonderful. But something in between could be staying one night at the Sacred Valley, which also the valley has high and lower sections. But let's say in average, the elevation is 2,800 meters above sea level. Okay, so this is just to give you an idea of some things to take in consideration if you would like to visit Cusco. And also, we talk about the division by regions of the beautiful Peru, created by Javier Pulgar Vidal, and immediately what we think in the highest point, in the highest region, the Janca or Cordillera, and there are beautiful mountains also that are in Cusco that belong to that location, to that region. And for example, to me, well, the Ausangate is one of the most beautiful mountains. I have the dream of going in person to visit the Ausangate, but well, not just like going there. I would like to do it in the time when one of the most important rites and celebrations, the Koyuriti celebration, happens, which is, so far I remember, between May and June. So it's like it really depends. It's one of those celebrations that is marked by the stars and the climate and calendar. It's not really one date in particular, but well, that would be really fantastic. And well, this mountain, the Ausangate, its height, I also posted here for you to read it, because I don't have every number in my mind. I would love to. 6,384 meters above sea level. No? So it's, well, challenging. No? So, and these mountains, they were considered apus. Ausangate is indeed one of the most important apus in the region as a generator of life, of water. Also, mountains are associated with water, glaciers in particular. So, well, there were apus providers, let's say, that were considered or seen as the providers by the people, and that's why there was big respect and importance also in the traditions, emphasized the importance in visiting these apus. Apu, by the way, is a word that, well, it's sort of like a sacred spirit that resides or lives in a mountain. Okay, and we have another one, so beautiful, so photogenic also, the Salcantay, 6,271 meters above sea level. Well, this one is also very, very curious, because so far I remember, Salcay is related in Quechua with the word like, sort of like, warrior, or it's more like untamed, like a savage. So it's really interesting, like seeing that each one of these apples have their own, let's say, a personality. No? So the apples have like a different, let's say, temperament. And well, it seems that this is the case of the Salcantay, and it was also considered sort of like a warrior apple. Okay, so curious as well, and so pretty. But when we think about the region Hanca or Cordillera, the glacier section of the country, or the high mountains, but there's another one that is now so famous. It really became so famous thanks to, believe it or not, the internet, Instagram in particular. And well, we are definitely talking about the Rainbow Mountain, known as Vinicunca, or in Spanish, Montaña de Siete Colores, Mountain of Seven Colors. And indeed has many colors. Well, but of course, not like in most of those exaggerated pictures you're going to see online. I mean, it's so easy to alterate and modify and intensify, and put more depth also to colors, with just your cell phone. But I think this mountain doesn't need to have this like extra like filters to look beautiful, to look amazing. So well, this mountain has naturally lots of beautiful colors, because it's conformed naturally by different minerals. As long as I know, like the yellow is related with the sulfur, for example, and limonite stone. There are different types of clays, some more intense, like reddish color. There's some oranges as well. There are greens as well, because the green is related with iron, with oxidation of the iron. So well, it's really incredible, seeing something like this when you go to this place. I mean, it's not really a destination for everybody so far. No, you need to do a walking like over 5,000 meters above sea level at some points. You can do also like a little bit more easier version and motorcycles until certain point, but later you have to still walk anyways, to have this postcard picture. Okay, so well, all of these mountains were considered to be really important, really important for the people of this part of the country of Peru, before we were called Peru, by the way. So before I go to the next images, I would like to check if there's any question from our friends who are also, let's say, with us. Just give me a second, because I remember. Okay, here we are. So okay, so no questions over here, and also this is going to be recorded for later. And the idea is that you will have the chance of also, well, seeing the full presentation. And well, I am trying to do like surprise events also every time I can. Okay, so let's go again to, okay, okay, okay. So going back to our image, I see also there is no question also in our, so far I know, not in YouTube and not in Facebook. Okay, so then I would like to also change a little bit of subject and and topic. And well, here I would love to talk about those beautiful creatures that are sometimes the reason why so many people come to Peru. I'm so surprised that in countries, like, for example, in the United States, or even in Europe. I was in Poland not so long ago, and I was told that there was a farm of alpacas in Poland, and they are just to be pet. And also in North America, especially in the United States. So, well, it's surprising. Not really, because they are so cute. It's completely understandable. Someone would like to um, keep them. Once you see them, you want to keep them somehow. But they are not little, they are quite big. They are taller than me, taller than the average height of person. So I'm referring to, well, the American camelids. um, and I think there's lots of confusion related with the American camelids, like which ones are llamas, which ones are the alpacas, and are there any other, like, let's say, species that are in that box, in that sack? Well, the American cameloids evolved from a species that got into the continent from probably like crossing the Bering Strait land bridge millions of years ago. This specimen was connected genetically to the camels, to the dromedarians. Also, that's why we called these creatures American cameloids. So these sort of like paleo llama, ancient llama, enter into South America and evolve. No, evolve basically in two species. No, the guanacos and the vicuñas. In a moment, I'll show you a vicuña, which is very relevant because basically, like in Cusco, you see them in some places also. But at the time when humans, like, got into this territory, which seems to be around 10,000 years ago, when they finally, 12,000 years ago, sorry, when they finally penetrate into these inhospitable locations, they saw these animals, and little by little they domesticated them, and they were like domesticated versions of these beautiful creatures that turned into, well, domesticated and fully dependent on men. So we are referring to the llamas. They are domesticated versions of the guanacos, and the alpacas, domesticated versions of the vicuñas. Okay, so on the left hand side, you can see a llama with its beautiful pointy ears, and also pointy projected to the front, and pointy like nose and mouth. They are very, very cute. Long lashes also. I would love to have those lashes if I could. And we have on the other side, and also, by the way, less fur in the face. Notice that the face is a little bit more clean from hair, from fur. And on the other side, on the right hand side, we can see these alpacas. So we have alpacas here, and those pretty, pretty creatures, they have more fur, and their fur is much softer, especially in the specimens that are much younger. Their fur is so valuable for the production of like knitting products, like let's say jumpers and sweaters and hats and all of those things. And the hair of the babies is known as, well, like baby alpaca. I mean, it's not that they were really babies, no? Like, we consider babies the ones that are not yet shaved. So the first and second shave, so far I know, of or I think in English is shredding of hair, is the one that is considered soft enough to be called baby alpaca hair. Okay, so, well, they are very, very important for the economy also of Cusco, because, first of all, since ancient times, llamas, they are known as burden animals. You can see that they are bigger and more muscular, and they walk long distances. So they were used for carrying products, and walking with the people, the Inca Trail. And the alpacas, which are a little bit more like delicate, they were the ones used for their fur for making fabrics, basically. And until these days, that tradition continues. Both tradition continues, and also we consume the meat. So there's nothing wasted in well, in our culture. No, so a creature like those is so special and so sacred that we cannot, for example, like, for one reason, like, sacrifice one and not like using like all of the parts of the creature. And that's why in Peru, still there's a tradition associated with consumption of, for example, alpaca meat, which you can also try in Cusco. So what about well, the other creature I mentioned that I said I will be talking about, well, today. Well, this is a vicuña, no? So, well, the llamas and alpacas were domesticated around, let's say, 8,000 years ago in the high plateau. Vicuñas were not domesticated in the sense that this is the group that remain untouched. So it's something like the wolves and the dogs. No? So we have dogs and we have wolves, and there was a natural selection. Well, not exactly natural, no, but a slow selection done by humans of the wolves that somehow like got closer to them or were more eager to, let's say, be more soft to humans, or like became more dependent on the leftovers of the humans. So those were selected, and we're talking about like thousands of years of selection, and became finally like let's say domesticated by people. No, so it's probably the same situation here. No, so some vicuñas, maybe the most curious ones, got closer to people little by little until finally they were domesticated. Okay, so those vicuñas, the ones that are wild, cannot be killed, cannot be like shaped by people who don't belong to certain indigenous communities and have special permits to do so. So let's say you are in the Andes, and you see a beautiful vicuña and you say, "Well, I want to take one home." You can do that. Okay. So, anyways, just to give you an idea. By the way, you can go to jail if you do that. If you kill a vicuña, if you shave a vicuña without special permit, so well, you can go up to 10 years, if I remember, to jail. A minimum of 2 and a maximum of 10. Okay. And well, let's talk about guinea pig, and in the Andes. And when I think in guinea pig, I'm Peruvian. I love our traditional regional cuisine, especially. And one of the things I love to do the most in Cusco was eating, and guinea pig is part of the menu. They are pretty creatures. I know. Well, to me, like all creatures are beautiful, but also that doesn't really like like stops us to continue consuming guinea pig in certain occasions. Some people just in certain occasions. For some people, it's just like it's a one alternative, no, one option of meal. So, well, we have here the cuis. Oh, that's the way how we call them, cuy, in Peruvian Spanish, probably because of it's an onomatopoeic name sound. Cuy probably related with the way how they like the sound they make, no? And they were domesticated about 3,000 years before Commons era. Okay, so that's the period of domestication of them. Of course, they are native from the Andean territory. And also, another thing you should uh, taste in Cusco are, well, potatoes. We have so many kinds of them, so many kinds of them. Potatoes are to Peruvians, like for example, corn to Mexicans. And we have also corn, but we are okay, like in the sense of, we know Mexicans have their corn, we have our corn, like we have no issues with that. But potatoes are all ours. And we are also very proud to say that, well, this is the home of the potato, and we have over 4,000 kinds of potatoes in Peru. In Cusco, what you can do is try potatoes. You can try different kinds of them. You can also go to any restaurant and you're going to find potatoes that don't repeat. So we are big producers in this region, in the region of Cusco, of potatoes, especially the variety we call papa nativa, native potato, which has pretty colors also. And well, another product very important, especially of consumption in Cusco, is the quinoa. Oh, and this is since ancient times. In ancient archaeological sites in Cusco were discovered evidences of the consumption of, for example, llamas, potatoes, corn, and quinoa. Mhm. So this is what you should be trying if you come to Cusco. So I'm just giving you some ideas of products to put in your list. Okay, and well, we have the corn. Okay, so corn is well, it's a very important product. It was also, some of these varieties of corn were selected for the exclusive consumption of the Incas. And the Inca, which is the summit of the cultural evolution of the country, and in particular of Cusco, because Cusco was the home of the Inca Empire as capital, basically the navel as it's usually known, um, is still nowadays the zone where there's the biggest production of corn. So far, I know, I might be not like giving you a precise amount, but I've been told that every year there's a production of 10 tons, I think. No, I might be wrong. I'm trying to remember exactly the amount. 10,000, I think, tons of corn in this location. I had the exact amount, but I have so many numbers in my mind. So there is a lot of production of corn in Cusco, and well, the elevations there also allowed the production of excellent products. Elevations are important because um, a product cannot give you its best, let's say, can be fruit, can be like cropped plant, I mean, if it's not in its prime location. So the Incas and also pre-Incas experimented widely with the elevations and the crops to see which elevation was best for them. Oh, there were even experimental spaces that, for example, Morai, later in the future, would like to tell you more about this place, that were used, so far specialists believe, to experiment with the elevations and the crops. Also, in the region of Cusco that goes to the jungle, there is production of cacao. Mhm. And probably here there will be debates with our fellow Mexicans because they are also the land of the cacao. The cacao was also domesticated here in Peru. There's still a debate about where was the oldest cacao like domesticated. Well, I don't really care much about like the competitions in that sense, but cacao has been also part of our culture since thousands of years ago. There will be a part also in the future I would like to dedicate to the north coast of Peru, in which we'll talk about also like the cacao in the art in the north coast in Moche, for example. There is, I remember, a beautiful representation of cacao mother, cacao woman that is breastfeeding a baby. And now we know that cacao has lots of benefits for expecting mothers, no, for mothers to be, and in the after the birth moment, especially for production in increasing or improving the production of milk for their babies. So well, if you go to Cusco, you're going to find lots of locally grown uh, cacao bars, like turn into chocolate, of course, or products. And there's a famous place called, and it's everywhere really, in Cusco and also in Peru, called the Choco Museum, where you can try also chocolate. Well, so that's why it's called Choco Museum. And well, just a little bit of history, and I promise this is the last part of our talk. I don't want to really give you a way too long talk, but I would love to know what you think about this type of surprise events. So, well, uh, Cusco, today we are dedicating this little chat to Cusco and its history and its beauty. Um, well, Cusco is a very rich zone in archaeology, but I think, like mistakenly, most people think of Cusco just as home of the Incas, as home of that amazing empire that we had once. We had but there are evidences very ancient in Cusco of human presence, human settlement. And for example, one of the oldest expressions of human presence near actually the city of Cusco, a few kilometers away, for example, from the city of Cusco, is the Man of Corca. And well, this is a zone in a cave also that shows some beautiful cave paintings in which there are evidences of well the I don't know, the excellent art produced by these ancient men, and also the necessity of portraying a form of like probably hunting of alpacas, llamas. So this is probably the process of the domestication still of these animals, because we're talking about a rank of time between 7,000 to 5,000 years before Christ. So it's the period that corresponds to the beginning of the domestication of these creatures, and all in those the walls of the cave, the men of Corca. Okay, and well, if we go a bit more in the future, there are other interesting evidences locally from that location. For example, well, the culture Marcavalle, which evidences of their presence exist still in the city of Cusco. And we're talking about a society that existed about 3,000 years ago, 1,000 years before Common's era. So the findings related with this culture, for example, show that they had the tradition of burying their people in fetal position. So we see here these evidences, burials in fetal embryonic position that continued until the times of the Incas, but are not exclusive from this location also. Like this is an element that in a way connects us to other societies in the central Andes of nowadays Peru. Okay, and also here, well, they were the evidences of the diet, for example, of these people consuming potatoes, these people consuming, let's say, like different crops, quinoa, different crops that are still part of our diet, especially in the Andes. And well, there's an intermediate until this culture over here, in which a very important culture named Wari existed. No, but Wari was not born in Cusco. Some specialists treated it as an empire, alien words that could not be applicable to our territory. But anyways, well, Wari, which came from also the South Andes, from the department of Ayacucho, expanded tremendously and also brought influences in this territory. And at the downfall of the Wari, there is a society that was born from that society also. The name of this culture is Quilque, and Quilque is sort of like the link between, in a way, this Wari ancient, like as I said before, state or empire, and the Incas. So they are the link, the in between. And here were some interesting samples of potteries related with the Quilque culture. So, well, Quilque ends around the year of 1200, and well, the reason is because, well, the Incas come in the picture, and the Incas, even according to the tradition, the story or the legend of the foundation of the city of Cusco, in it is described this interesting like a trip that starts at Titicaca Lake, far away from the city of Cusco. So the Incas themselves are travelers, the founder fathers, let's say. The first groups that carried the tradition, the religion of the Incas, came from outside, came from Titicaca Lake. This is even according to the legend of the founding of Cusco by Manco Capac and Mama Ogio. This legend existed or was, let's say, recopilated by different chroniclers. One of them, for example, Inca Garcilaso de la Vega. He mentions in his account, his memoirs about his life in Cusco. Very, very, very young, he had to leave Cusco and went to Spain. But when he was, let's say, in his 50s, he decided to put in paper all of his memories, all of these emotions he had, memories related with his mother, who was an Incan princess. No? And he was raised in a noble family. No? So he had first contact, direct contact with the nobility, and also this dominated nobility, dominated by the Spanish, but also the sweetness of the Quechua language and the traditions and the ceremonies and the legends, no? And the grandiosity of the past that he was not able to witness because he was born after the conquest. His father was an Spanish man. So briefly, I just want to tell you a bit about Inca Garcilaso de la Vega. We are not really talking about him, but in his writings, in his royal commentaries, he mentions also about the legend of Manco Capac and Mama Occhio and how they came from the Lake Titicaca. So Lake Titicaca in nowadays between two let's say countries actually, Puno that belongs to Peru and also Bolivia. Okay, so there are specialists who believe that there is a very strong connection between this origin, this birthplace of the Incas with the Tiahuanaco culture. So well, it's really fascinating. So, according to the legend, the son, who was the father of Manco Capac and Mama Ogio, by the way, they were brothers, gave Manco Capac a scepter of gold, giving the order to found a city to be dedicated to the sun, the capital, the new capital of these governors, wherever the scepter of gold will like get inside, like softly inside the soil. Okay, so well, that's how they went into in looking for this location, this magical city, no, and they came into Cusco. So well, the commitment they had was to civilize the people that they would find there. And that's also how, well, their traditions were probably imposed to the traditions of the locals who existed already in Cusco. So as I said before, there is a possibility that in the 12th century is when the Incas arrived to Cusco, and there is a process of settling there, adaptation into that land. Unfortunately, we don't have like documents that give us exact timelines, chronologies, because the Incas and the pre-Incas didn't really care much in such information. We're not that crazy about like taking notes on like how many Incas were, and the times when the cities were conquered. So we live more a world of in which the reality mixed with the legend, with the magical world. Okay, and well, we had, of course, many Incas. There are no consensus in terms of how many Incan kings. When I say Incas in this case, I'm referring to the dynasties, to the kings. I'm not referring to the general people of the culture. Okay, the general people were known as runasimi, also, so the people basically. But the Incas, when I mention Incas in this case, I'm talking about the kings, the monarchs, the dynasty that ruled since that moment when Manco Capac went to the city of Cusco. So if we don't have certainty of like the exact year, we also don't have certainty how many Incas existed. But we have, let's say, chronology, an approximate chronology, and genealogy that is accepted, is the one that we teach in schools, that I've learned when I went to school, and it consists in 14 Incas. Okay, there are Incas that are more traceable in our history because they were more recent to the time of the conquest of the Spanish. Even Incas who were like directly defeated by the Spanish. Well, the one met by the conquistador Pizarro was Atahualpa, who was killed by orders of the Spanish. And also, they knew that at the same time existed another ruling Inca, actually the brother of Atahualpa, Huáscar. So we can divide this chronology or genealogy in, let's say, in two segments. There are also different ways to do it, but it's, I think, a little bit easier like this. So we have like the legendary Incas, the Incas that are more hard to track, that of course start with Manco Capac, and we have several also: Sinchi Roca, Yoke Yupanqui, Maita Capac, Capac Yupanqui, Inca Roca, Yawar Huaca, also Huiracocha. And then after we have the Incas that are also the imperial Incas, no? Pachacutec is the founder, which is I'm going to also show you in a moment in the second level, sorry. If we look to the left, the second person, Pachacutec. So he's basically the founder, let's say, of the empire, the one who really started the expansion of the culture. And we continue with his children. No? For example, we have Tupac Yupanqui, which was a very important conqueror, actually. Amaru Yupanqui, who is before Tupac Yupanqui, was a king who seems that he didn't really work well in his role. He was removed of the position, and Tupac Yupanqui became Inca. No? So seems that it was movable also. No? This role of being Inca, if you were not fitting for the role, you could be replaced. Also, there are specialists to talk about diarchies, like two kings ruling at the same time, but that is way more difficult also to be proven and even to be accepted generally. No? And then we have, for example, Huayna Capac. Huayna Capac existed, actually, he was a king when Francisco Pizarro, for example, was not yet here in this territory, but was in Panama. Conquistador Pizarro was a very important leader, let's say, in Panama, even a mayor. He became a mayor. And the reason why I'm mentioning, like, well, the physical location of the Spaniards in relation with the Inca king Huayna Capac is because there is a big chance that Huayna Capac died due to smallpox. Okay, so they never met. Huayna Capac never meet or any Spanish. There's no like proven or information in which that is mentioned, but seems that somehow certain diseases fly faster than even the Spanish, like, for example, smallpox, taking in consideration that pox were extremely contagious and, well, they could be like devastating, they could be destructive. Okay. So sadly, Huayna Capac died after also receiving, let's say, omens and let's say, like, recommendations from the Waka Pachacamac, which Waka is a spirit, is a god, and it also is a physical uh, location, a building. So Pachacamac, the god of the earthquakes, um, like revealed that the way to heal Huayna Capac from his disease was by taking him out of his bed into the sun. The sun, the god said, will cure Huayna Capac. And that was the worst decision ever made, because the minute Huayna Capac, according to the tradition, was taken out, he died from the exposure to the sun. And well, that left us beheaded. And also with Huayna Capac passed his son, who was the one appointed to be the ruler, or the, let's say, the to continue also the government of the Tawantinsuyo, which is the name of our territory in that time of our history. No? Um, so well, by the way, the name of this Inca is Ninankuyuchi, no, the one who died of probably the same disease. So well, you can see also as something very curious, no, like next to Atahualpa, which is the one before the last one, going in direction to the right hand side. You can see an indigenous man, Atahualpa. And right next to him, there is a person pointing to a cross. Okay, so this person pointing to a cross, and I'll move also a little bit the camera, that the second camera I have also with me, in this direction. So this person is the King Charles the First. So this king is pointing in direction to the cross because it's showing the way, is showing the religion, the right religion that should be now embraced by the indigenous of this territory. So, well, this painting, by the way, exists in a museum in Peru, which is wonderful. It is located in the Cathedral of Lima. So, well, let's continue also. And what you're seeing here is the Tawantinsuyo. The Tawantinsuyo is, well, this country of the Incas, no? The Peru didn't existed back then. I just want to clarify that Peru is in many ways a construction from the Spanish and well, the conquest. Basically, we wouldn't be able to talk of Peru without the conquistadors meeting the Incas and all the societies that existed parallel to the Incas, and also without the fights that existed for power in this territory at that time of the conquest of the Spanish. If we were really like one empire, like all together, I'm sure the Spanish would never be able to rip apart this land that was known as the Tawantinsuyo. The Tawantinsuyo grew too fast, too soon. And even though the Incas were excellent administrators, in many zones, especially in the north part of Peru, which in the map you see is the Chinchaysuyo, in the north part of Peru, that part was way too fresh, way too fresh, under the control of the Incas. They had their own languages, their own traditions, their own religions. So they still had that rebellious heart, and willing to take any opportunity to be given back, their independence from that control that, well, the Incas offer now. So when the Spaniards came, the indigenous groups from the north, many of them took part on the side of the Spanish. And that's how, well, the empire collapses. But this empire was so big. I know that the size is really unclear, but the size could be approximately from 2.5 million square kilometers to 3.5 million square kilometers. So it was a huge territory. Nowadays, for example, South America, the continent of South America, has about 17.8 million square kilometers. So the size of the Tawantinsuyo, the empire of the Incas, which really like reached this big territory in the last 100 years, basically, of the existence of the Incas, could be comparable to the surface of India, or even, well, like most of continental Europe. So it was incredibly big, right? And the name Tahuantinsuyo comes from the word in Quechua, the language that was used, sort of like the Frank language used during the Incan times, Quechua. Tawa means four, oh, and suyo means part. Sadly, I am not Quechua speaker. My grandma used to speak Quechua, not fluently, but she knew quite a lot of Quechua, but I was not able to learn it. So I am not pronouncing it perfectly, but Tawantinsuyo means, let's say, the land of the four parts, no? Of four parts country. And the center of these four parts, sort of like the navel of these four parts, was Cusco. uh And this is so, so important. And I promise I'm coming to the end. I always say that, but I promise I will be ending soon. So Cusco, which is the navel, from it, like, come out these imaginary lines that are known as seques. And those lines, which are many, are like 41 seques, so far I remember. And well, these lines, no, that go in different directions, they unite Cusco with huacas, with temples. So it is fascinating. Like everything had a reason, a purpose. Incas were like very purpose-like people, and well, meaning that, well, there was a point from which everything came out, and it was not just the city of Cusco. So where was that point where everything like started? Well, that point, my dear friends, was the Coricancha, the Temple of the Sun. Okay, and it really looks like, from these images I'm sharing, especially the one on the right hand side, it looks like the sun, the rays of the sun, right? So it's so, so meaningful. So Cusco was this magical city, where, like, the legends and the gods coexisted with the people. And so probably this is the way how Cusco like looked before the arrival of the conquistadors. And well, all came to an end, of course, when the Spaniards came. So the arrival of the conquistadors, the Spanish conquistadors, to Cusco correspond to, well, lots of different things. No, they kept prisoner for several months Atahualpa King, well, or Inca King Atahualpa, in Cajamarca. Atahualpa, knowing that they were so ambitious and they wanted gold, he offered a ransom for his liberation that finally was not accomplished by the conquistadors. And this ransom was paid in gold and silver. So, well, the Spanish, thanks to that ransom, they were able to see, also traveling with the emissaries of the Inca. They were able to see in person all the cities, all the places, temples. They came to Pachacamac in Lima, and they knew about, well, the city Cusco, no, that was sacred. So later, after the killing of Atahualpa, they venture in direction to this mythical city. Well, they believe was mythical because it was described as such beautiful city, and in reality, it was that and more. And they arrived to Cusco, to the city of Cusco, on November 1533, but the Spanish foundation of Cusco happened later next year. So I know that right after they went there, they established a church, St. Christopher Church, also in a very close to Sacsayhuaman. And well, and that's the moment when finally, well, the Spanish find their way into Cusco. And well, of course, there's more to say about Cusco, but I've already taken so much time of you. So before I go, I would like to share with you a bit of my information. If you wish to follow me on my social media, there's also an email if you wish to send a question. I'm always very, very happy to answer questions or to get in touch with people who love history. You can give me a follow if you haven't done it yet. And let me know sharing. And okay, so here we are. And thank you so, so much for your participation. Let me also turn the camera to the other side because I think here I can do it. So thank you so, so much, my dear friends, for your participation, for being with me, for watching this probably as a replay. And if you want to learn more about Peru, well, I'm here to tell you a bit more. And I think it's quite easier when you have someone that can speak in English and help you also with translations. So that's also what tour guides do, right? So well, thank you so so much, and see you next time. And also thanks for your support. Okay, best to you all. Bye bye, amigos. Ciao ciao to my friends on Facebook and to my friends also on YouTube. You are the best. Okay, see you. Bye bye. Ciao. See you until next time.